What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Good Game Reviews. And today I'm going to do a list of needs. I was talking about this in the last video. I said I was going to cover what are the biggest needs that the Patriots probably have to fill in these next 6 rounds. Second, seventh, and after the selection of quarterback last night, that pretty much narrowed it down to about 6 positions that that I have my eyes on. So I'm gonna start off with the most concerning one to me, the one that I think is a thing that we need to tackle in this draft, and then on the way down is something that I don't see so much as a need for. Either it's already been covered, or there was already some depth there to begin with, so we don't have to worry about it too much, in my opinion. But we're going to begin it off with cornerbacks. Now, the reason why I say cornerbacks, and you might look at me weird and say, wait a minute, that should be our strongest spot on the team, right? Not necessarily. We have to remember that Stephon Gilmore is pretty much in his last year of his deal, and he's looking for an extension. Will the Patriots be willing to give him an extension? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure they're going to want to, pay him big again and try to keep him on. He might get dealt off somewhere. Who knows? So that's a little bit of concern for me. I would love to keep him, but his future with the team is not certain. With J.C. Jackson, he signed the second round tender, but still his future with the team isn't so much. It isn't certain to me. It isn't certain to me. We have to see what happens in this upcoming season. Whatever happens, after that, we'll have our answer basically. But until then, it's still kind of a shaky spot. And these are your two best corners. These are your number one and your number two. So you want to have this position set up right. I'm not going to be throwing out so much as like names for every position, but just some guys that kind of catch my eye. We got a guy like Ambry Thomas out of Michigan. He's a nice cornerback, plays well in press man. He does well in zones. He's really good at getting inside and breaking up passes and things like that. I wouldn't call him a ball hawk, but he's more of that. And I don't even want to compare him to Stephon because he's not Stephon, but in terms of just being able to like get in there and being able to like read what's going to happen and having like a real high football IQ when he's on the field, and his awareness is something that he's also praised for. Having a really good awareness for what's happening. That's what I like him for. So not too many negatives that I can really find on him, but if he happens to be in a good spot where we're trying to pick cornerback and he's still there, I would think he would be a really good pick. And we done pretty good so far with Michigan guys. So let's try to keep the trend going. As far as the next spot, I have wide receiver. Now I know a lot of people would have said this is something that we probably need to address, before cornerback or before anything else. We need to get this wide receiver spot. We need to find our number one. And yes, I agree with that. We do need to find our number one wide receiver. If we're able to get a guy, because these guys are gonna start flying off in this second round, I believe. We're not gonna see a lot of the second tier guys that we had our eyes on, looking at the pro days and all of that. They're gonna be flying off a little bit early in the second round, I believe. So by pick 46, if we're still there at 46, if we don't trade down to do something like that, if we're still there at 46, a guy that I kind of have my eye on is Terrence Marshall out of LSU. Now, Terrence Marshall, the only concern that I really have about Terrence Marshall is his hands. Everything else seems to be pretty much perfect in terms of like production. 2 straight years with double-digit touchdowns. He proves that he can be the number one in the system. He proves that he can be the number 3 in the system. He was playing with Chase and Jefferson, and was still able to get double-digit touchdowns. Those guys are gone. The next year, Chase opted out. Jefferson's already in the NFL, and he's the number one option there. And he still finds a way to get that production. So that's what stood out to me. He has the speed, he has the size that you want, and your prototypical number one wide receiver. It's just the hands. When I saw that during the pro day, really, it's really a concern. But if he can find a way to kind of clean that up, the same way Nelson Aguilar was able to find a way to flourish in Las Vegas with the Raiders, could be a very nice pick, and he will be a very nice wide receiver to have on the outside, and could develop into a quality number one if he's able to get that down. But if the drops are too much of a concern, I don't know. But that's the guy that I have in mind. He's pretty much the best prospect because I was eyeing Bateman. He's not there anymore. Obviously, he's with Baltimore. So we just got to do what we got to do. And later on in the round, if we can, I would like a guy like Jalen Darden. He's a speed guy, runs routes nicely. So yeah, if later on, if we're still looking for something like that, Jalen Darden would be a nice pick too. Next on the list is defensive tackle. I'm looking more at our ability to be able to stop the run. That was a very big concern last year. It just seemed like whatever team we went against, they were just able to run all over us, and I just got tired of it. It just seemed like no matter how good the team was at running the football or how bad they were at running the football, pretty much if they had a running back in there, they were going to get a good chunk of yards, going against us. So that's something that I would like them to be able to clean up. And a guy that I think could help out there is Tyler Shelvin out of LSU. And I think he would be a very nice fit for the Patriots in terms of being able to stop that run. Not so much a guy that you would want in terms of trying to rush the passer. If you're looking for the Adam Butler kind of replacement, he's not it. But it's terms of like just being able to stop the run, big body. I'm looking at Tyler Shelvin. He's a guy I've been eyeing for a while. He wins on his blocks for the most part. Once again, not a guy who rushes the passer, but a guy who helps very well in terms of being able to stop the run. A very big guy, I think 360 around that range. I mean, he's a really heavy guy. So I don't know if I got that weight right, but I believe it's somewhere around that range. He's a really, really heavy guy. So I would like to have him plugged in the middle of that defensive line. As far as the next area in terms of the position, I have defensive end. Now, the edge, you're mostly going to have, you guys like Winovich, Matt Judon, Uche. You're going to have those guys on the edge a lot. A lot of your linebackers and stuff, outside linebackers. But just like a traditional defensive end, if you want to find a guy to plug in on the outside, I'll look at a guy like Carlos Basham, Carlos Basham Jr. He had a nice senior bowl. A lot of scouts were looking at him. They like the way he played. He plays with a lot of explosiveness. He looks like a really tough dude. I would like to have him on the edge. Once again, I already know what they're going to do as far as that edge goes. They're going to have a lot of those outside linebacker guys on there. But defensive end, if they're still looking for one, if they are looking for one, this is a guy that you could probably get mid-round, possibly third round. You could possibly get him day 3, maybe in the 4th round, somewhere like that. But that's a guy that I'll keep my eye on, Carlos Basham. Linebacker, not so many prospects that I was looking at for linebacker. I knew a lot of the guys that I was eyeing, like the Collins, the Parsons, guys like that. They were going to be gone in the 1st round. I didn't have my heart to set on guys like that. I knew those guys were kind of a lost cause. We had other concerns to think about. And linebacker just seems to be a position that the Patriots, have kind of at least set for the short term. It looks like they pretty much have that set, at least coming up into this next season. You were able to get Van Noy back. You got Judon on the outside. You got Hightower coming in from opting out last year. You still got Uche. You still got Bentley, he's still growing within the system. You went out and got the kid who was the Miami kid. I'm sorry, I'm kind of blanking on his name. I think it's McKillum or something like that. You got Uche, you got Jennings. I mean, you're pretty much set as far as like that linebacker spot in my concern. I mean, in my eyes. So not really that big of a need. But if you're thinking about like the future, like down the line, like the years after Hightower, then yeah, I mean, but I'm thinking like right now, I think they have enough depth to where, they could just kind of evaluate that position and see, some of these guys that we drafted in last year's draft, how will they be the future? How they're going to pan out? This is going to be the year for them to kind of step up and see how they shine. And last, I got safety. Now, there's one guy that I kind of had on my list. Granted, I didn't do a lot of research on him. Richard LeCounte III. I kind of similar to what I did last year when I was just looking to fill a position for safety. I looked at Kyle Duggar. I was like, seems like a pretty versatile dude, does a lot of different things. So I kind of just threw him on my board to see if we could fill a need at safety. Same kind of thing I did with Richard here. Safety, like I said, Kyle Duggar. You got you still got Devin McCourty back there. You still got sorry, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name, and he was probably the most productive guy on the defense last year. Hold on, I know this is highly unprofessional, but I gotta look his name up because I cannot believe that I am blanking on this guy's name. It is ridiculous. Sorry, bear with me. Adrian Phillips. Y'all gotta forgive me. My mind is bad. I promise I'll try to get better. But yeah, Adrian Phillips, you got him. You went out and you got Jalen Mills in free agency. So as far as like that safety position goes, I feel like they got some really good guys as far as the depth goes, as far as just the overall room in terms of safety. They got that shored up. So not too big of a concern, but I still would like them to dip into the draft and see if they can get a guy. Remember Richard LeCounte. That's a guy that they can have their eyes on. Yeah. But this wasn't too much of a long video. I just wanted to go ahead and go down the list of guys that, I had my eye on, but more importantly, the positions that I had my eye on and which ones concern me the most, which ones concern me the least. That's just the way I was, looking at it. And it's been an exciting draft so far. A lot of surprises that happened in the first round. And I'm expecting a lot more surprises to happen, going on. A lot of cheering, a lot of heartache possibly coming. Maybe division rivals getting guys that I want. But, I mean, hey, that's the draft. So, like always, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. More content coming on. I'm going to be reviewing all of the picks that the Patriots going to be making, so stay tuned for that. Giving their projections and predicting what I think they will be able to contribute to the team for next season and possibly the future on. So look forward to that. And that's pretty much it. Until next time, I'm out.